How often do you think about animals? If you love animals, it's likely every day, maybe every hour. If you're not an animal person, I'm sorry. On this episode of Snapshot New York, we're talking about animals, why we love them, why they love us, and where does this connection come from? And does that empathy stretch to animals you've never met? I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Snapshot New York, and we are at the Queens County Farm Museum, the largest protected farm in New York City, and this is a working farm. You can even come out here and pet these little guys. This is Spice. Spice, you waking up over here, buddy? Cute little piggies. There are plenty of other animals that you can come out here and spend your day with. I love being around animals, and I have found that animal people are generally more compassionate to humans as well. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's because we view animals like children. I mean, think about it. They are at the mercy of others for shelter, food, and protection, just like kids. Our first story comes to us about a truck driver who just couldn't bear the thought of animals being hurt, so he did something about it. He's never been a farmer his entire life, but he bought a farm, and he turned it into a sanctuary. For all New York City provides for us, an hour northwest, this landscape caters to animals.
Everybody loves you. You're a good boy.
Mike Stura isn't a farmer. He's a truck driver who defends the defenseless.
I love them. I love them. I mean, my whole life has changed because of them. You know, I see everything in my world differently than I used to.
5 years ago, he opened the Skylands Animal Sanctuary and Rescue in Wantage, New Jersey.
They're not my pets, so they're not here to make me happy. They're here to live life on their own terms, and that's what we try and let them do.
Along with a small staff and volunteers, this 230-acre farm has changed the course of life for more than 250 animals. Some are even celebrities.
A goat rescued from a Broad Street is now living at a New Jersey sanctuary. Police believe it escaped from a nearby slaughterhouse.
When an animal escapes captivity on the way to the slaughterhouse, Mike and his team become their saviors.
We've become synonymous with big animals that are loose, especially cows.
Breaking news, NYPD has wrangled a cow.
Instead of being sent to their doom, this nonprofit facility gives them a home and allows them to find their own personality. How are you able to keep these animals' egos in check when they have the celebrity status that they have of being on TV?
Well, I'll tell you what. If we go up and you meet Freddie, you'll find that they're not all in check. Freddie escaped a slaughterhouse in Queens and was running down Jamaica Avenue.
A cow breaks free, leading police on a wild pursuit on the streets of Queens.
Does Fred know he's a celebrity?
He absolutely does. He's very full of himself. He's very full of himself.
A cow stopped traffic this morning on Route 80 in New Jersey.
One resident here even defied all odds by jumping out of a moving truck destined for slaughter. But she wasn't alone.
2 days later, she gave birth to a big, beautiful calf, and that is Winter right there.
And to think she was destined for the slaughterhouse.
2 days before being born.
These animals all fought for their lives, whether they jumped off of a truck or they escaped. If they fight for their lives, they too can arrive at a sanctuary.
I like to tease and hope that there is like a myth that goes around that if they fight for their lives and get out somewhere, that some long-haired guy will come and give them a home to live. I'm a truck driver. I'm a truck driver who loves the animals. If I can help somebody who has, is struggling to help themselves to have a good life, that's good for me.
It takes about $700 a day just to feed these animals. Donations keep this nonprofit alive. And it's more than just animals that are rescued.
We try and save them, and they save us. Trust me. I'm telling you straight out. We give them a home, a place to live, and they give me a reason to live.
When we come back, we'll take you to the track. And just because a thoroughbred retires doesn't mean they're done with competition. That's next on Snapshot New York. We're here with Sarah Meyer, the communications director here at Queens County Farm Museum. Sarah, thanks for showing us around, and it looks like we've got a couple of friendly alpacas out here enjoying the day.
Yeah,
Who's this?
Right here we've got Rocky and Giorgio, our alpacas. This is a Wakaya alpaca. They are about 17 years old, and they're living their best lives here at Queens Farm.
I think what's great about having these animals so close to us is the fact that it allows us to interact with animals that you might not normally interact with.
Yeah, it's really special. 47 acres of protected open space here in New York City. So it's an amazing opportunity to connect our urban city dwellers with farm animals.
Do these guys have a personality?
Oh yeah, they are quite sassy.
Oh, is that right? They're sassy. Sarah, thanks for introducing me to these two sassy individuals. We all love our dogs and our cats, but the question is, do you have that same empathy for an elephant in the Serengeti, or the red panda in Nepal, or a racehorse who no longer races? At Belmont Park, the busiest time of day is early morning.
Riddles!
Are you hungry?
Feed time's always a lot of fun, and especially this time of year, because we have young horses here. And so they just think it's, that feed cart is theirs, not my neighbor. This is room service.
You're very hungry? I'm very hungry. Don't bite my hand. Biting the hand that feeds you.
This is the barn of Rick Schosberg,
Move on because they're hungry.
a trainer who prepares these horses at Clear Star Stable for racing and their life after racing.
I've always had an affinity for these horses. It's built on the love of the animal and realizing that a good portion, or almost 70 to 75% of the horse's life takes place after the races.
A thoroughbred's racing career typically lasts just 2 to 3 years, but their lifespan is 20 to 25. Rick is president of Take the Lead. It's an aftercare program for retired horses.
Text Manny, tell him we'll be down there in 15 minutes or so.
Today, he's riding around to other barns to look at horses on the verge of retirement.
This is Beckenbauer. He's our newest candidate for Take the Lead.
Now, do you take into account his personality when you try to figure out where the next
Yes,
one is
as a matter of fact, on our intake form, there's a section down there for personality, vices, and things like that. So when they get the horse, they know what they're getting.
Each year, Take the Lead places about 150 New York thoroughbreds into retirement. But it's not the kind of retirement you might imagine. Their second careers can be competitive. Many become equestrian horses, some Olympians. They just need to learn how.
These horses, all through their lives, are learning every single day. So when they transition to second careers, they just flow with it. But they got to be athletic, they got to have stamina, and they got to be sound.
And this is a great place to find horses that have all of those attributes.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
New York is the world's leader in protecting retired racehorses. In fact, every horse gets microchipped just to make sure they don't meet an undesirable end.
There was a time where if you had a horse that needed retirement, it was up to you. And if you didn't have connections, you were kind of stuck, and horses would, 20 years ago would get lost. We don't let that happen now.
To be an owner, right, you feel you're part of a community of people.
Michael Sternklar is the managing partner of Clear Star Stable. When his horses retire, his focus is on their safety.
There's no way you could do that without appreciating and caring about what happens to the horses. So I wouldn't be part of this world if I didn't feel confident and comfortable that we were doing right by these horses, because every day they're doing right by us.
Rick spent the day meeting horse after horse, learning their dispositions and idiosyncrasies.
I didn't see this the other day. She's got like a horn.
Are you a unicorn?
I think she's a unicorn.
Studies show horses stay healthier and live longer if they remain active. And while retiring these horses may take some extra care, the best payment is knowing their future is secure.
We got to have a step-by-step process so that these horses can have a long, purposeful life after racing. Not just turned out in the field swatting flies. They don't want to do that.
Because of this organization, the idea of retiring a horse is suddenly heartwarming. because every horse in here will eventually ride off into the sunset.
What a happy boy. Oh, what a happy boy.
Do you speak horse?
I try.
Yeah, is that how you
I
speak
try.
horse?
They'll tell you a lot if you're listening.
Exactly. It's a matter of listening.
You just gotta listen.
You might not associate New York City with wildlife, but we'll show you why it's a travel destination for bird watchers from all over the world. Snapshot New York is coming back. Have you seen humpback whales off the shores of New York City? Conservation efforts that started in the 1970s are showing the fruits of their labors. The Hudson is far less polluted and now discharges nutrients. Because of that, we've seen an abundance of fish species growing around New York. Those fish attract marine mammals like whales, and Bunker attracts sharks. And while it might sound scary, the return of whales and sharks are actually great for the oceanic ecosystem because it's all connected. Just like the fact that New York City is a stop in the avian superhighway. And what we've learned is that our relationship with animals goes much further than just those we domesticate. The sounds of spring are sweeter with birdsong.
There are moments like this right here, and this is a super busy park, and yet you kind of feel like you have it to yourself.
Todd Winston is a birding guide for New York City Audubon.
Magnolia warbler just sang, and it's a really beautiful bird.
He is a champion for nature, and every walk through the Ramble is a reunion of friends.
These guys are all kind of my buddies, and part of the joy of learning birdsong is that when you walk around, you kind of go, oh, hey, oh, there's so-and-so, and then you're kind of like, oh, I didn't know he was going to be here. You know, things show up that you don't expect.
Bird watchers or birders use binoculars, but experts can identify a bird by sound.
I've really come to rely on my ears to bird, but it's such an amazing way to feel connected. It's kind of a zen thing that you can just completely lose yourself in.
Birdwatching has surged in popularity during the pandemic. It's not expensive, it gets you in nature, and it's soothing.
You can bird by yourself as just sort of a meditative experience that you just lose yourself and have peace from everything else in your life.
New York City is in the middle of an avian superhighway called the Atlantic Flyway. 33% of all North American birds migrate through New York City. And in a sea of buildings, their favorite rest stop is the biggest patch of green, Central Park.
A lot of people don't realize that there's this incredible diversity of birds, like just right here.
It makes New York City one of the top bird-watching locations in the world. This Canada goose is protecting her goslings, who are less than 24 hours old. And in the middle of the most multicultural city in America, even a red-winged blackbird and a grackle can share a moment on a rock. Sometimes their beauty belies their temperament. Blue jays are jerks, huh?
They are. I often call them the mafia of the bird world. Blue jays will mob a hawk or an owl. We call it mobbing. They just fly in there and harass it till the hawk or owl leaves. So they in some ways protect an area from predators, but then they exact a price because they come in during nesting season and they take your eggs.
From red-bellied woodpeckers to hooded warblers to tree swallows, hundreds of bird watchers flock just to get a glimpse. What we have here is a murmuration of humans.
Murmuration, that's a good bird word, Steve.
And for a fleeting moment, birders get to catch nature at its most fascinating.
I just feel like it's such a privilege to be close to these creatures that are from another world. Just flew from South America, now they're on their way to Canada. It's this crazy experience to be so close to beautiful little creatures that I don't really know anything about, but I get to know for a few moments through my binoculars.
We're back to introduce you to a woman who chose her love for dogs over a love for money. That's next on Snapshot New York. Animals have the ability to help us in more ways than one, and multiple scientific studies have proven that just petting an animal or being near an animal will actually reduce your anxiety. One study gave children on the autistic spectrum an animal for 10 seconds. And even with that limited exposure, that improved their communication skills with adults by 20%. Look, it's one thing to have a belief, but it's another thing to have the data that supports that. And in the question of, do animals make our lives better? Both the empirical evidence and our intuition both say a resounding yes.
I might see their car. Where are you, doggies?
Tanya Eisenstein is waiting for a special delivery.
Yay!
A journey 3 months in the making.
Hi, Wally. I met you on your first day out.
And the work is about to begin. This isn't any canine rescue. Tanya focuses on dogs in danger after natural disasters.
Hi, welcome. Welcome to New York.
She met Laura, Ashley, and Wally in Humacao, Puerto Rico.
When we met them, they were pretty friendly. Laura went on her back and gave us belly and everything immediately.
Hurricane Maria left Puerto Rico in devastation. Most families lost their pets or let them fend for themselves. As a result, the stray dog population in Puerto Rico has skyrocketed from 200,000 to nearly 500,000.
It kills me, you know, homeless dogs. I just can't. I can't not do something.
Just seeing them in that scenario, more or less?
Yeah, just thinking about it, you know. Look at these poor babies. They just need some love and care. And I guess I relate to that, right? We all need that.
Tanya, in cooperation with Animal Lighthouse Rescue, is finding these dogs forever homes in New York City.
They are tested thoroughly in Puerto Rico. We have a vet we work with down there who's fabulous. And they've been spayed, neutered, vaccinated. In an abundance of caution, we retest. And we're very careful about their health.
While Ashley is settling in, Laura is still anxious. But Wally is loving life. He woke up in Puerto Rico, and by nightfall, he was walking the streets of Manhattan. It costs about $1,000 per dog to get them here to New York. So far, she has overseen the rescue of more than 100 dogs. And her adoption rate is 100%.
We're in a position here in New York, in Manhattan, to pull some resources and help them. They don't have the resources down there.
Were these former pets, or are they feral dogs?
These don't strike me as having been somebody's pet.
So they're survivors?
I think so. We think so, as best as we can tell. Yeah.
Just like any New Yorker.
Quite right. Wally, look. Good luck.
In 7 days of training, cleaning, and socializing, these dogs have turned a corner.
Laura and Ashley, they were, as you recall, quite nervous when they came in. They're still getting used to the sounds of New York, but at first we really couldn't even get them to go outside. Now they go on walks.
Tanya is an expert at transformation. For 2 decades, she was a litigator in the financial world. 7 years ago, she started her new life.
I wasn't happy. I didn't want to be working at a place or doing something for a living that didn't, you know, feed my soul in some way or make me happy.
These dogs will soon join the ranks of the 1 million pets in the city. Tanya's not just changing the lives of man's best friend, but also the families who adopt them, all because she followed her passion.
Yeah, everyone's got to make their own decisions and trade-offs, but certainly if people did what they loved, I think, you know, it'd be a better world all around.
It's almost an insult to call them pets, because for most, they're family. When Lady Gaga's bulldogs were dog-napped, she offered a $500,000 reward for their return. Singer Lorde said the inspiration for most of her song ideas came from her dog, Pearl. Western science of recent decades is proving what most societies already know, that animals have emotions and feelings and personality, and that our love for animals makes us better people. Thanks for watching this episode of Snapshot New York.